For the People with Lou Ismay.
A little bit of history. Years ago, 1830s or so, there was something called the Rent Wars. They were held in the Helderberg Mountains of New York State. At that time, the Hudson Valley was owned by the Netherlands. And there was a company that was getting parcels of land to wealthy people from the Netherlands. And all of the parcels were organized on the European manorial style. There was a lord of the manor, and people could work for the lord of the manor. In the Hudson Valley, they could not own the land. They could only rent it. Rents were collected for years. The people in the higher elevations, short growing season, and every spring they harvested an incredible crop of rock, stones. So they didn't have much to pay the rents. Rents were not collected. Eventually, the Lord died. His two sons inherited two large parcels, one on the east side of the river, the other on the west side of the river. And at one point, the sons decided to collect their back rents. People objected. Now, these were hard-working farmers. They were straightforward guys, interested in life. They revolted, decided they weren't going to pay the rents. Sheriff's deputies came up up the mountainsides to evict the tenants. They revolted by using their dinner horns to warn one another across the miles that the sheriff was coming or the militia was coming. Some of them got tired of the fight, and they went to Wisconsin. Decided, depending on the acts of Congress, that they would form another political party, and they did. And they elected Abe Lincoln. Now, these are straight shooters. They were fighting for what is right and true. Those two words are foremost in their operation. Now, let's take a look at this great, at one time, very, very effective political party. What's been happening now? What do we see going on this very day? Is this something that has been part of our American history? Taking over the Capitol? First of all, electing somebody who does not have any experience or interest in judgment, in justice. Somebody whose mind is elsewhere in the world. We don't speak about it, a little bit touchy subject, but this is the result of that kind of leadership. Now, it's strange. Why would so many million people want to revolt? Why would they? These are supposedly intelligent people. If not intelligence, at least have some ethics, some empathy, some honesty. It's almost an entire block of distrust, untruths, even corruption, all sorts of things. What's going on? Well, some things. We need to ask other people who know more about each of these little things. But here are some of the things that we might think about. In the 1920s and 30s, now some of us were around in those years. You can check it out if you want to, the history of this. In Germany, a political party, the propaganda minister, a man named Joseph Goebbels, stated that if lies are told enough times, people will believe it. Could that be one of the things that have been happening after 4 years of constant untruth, lies? Could it be that people believe that? Is that what's going on? Maybe one of the things? Other things. We developed as human beings without many good parts of our bodies, our minds, that could defend ourselves. So we grew up and developed with fear. We had to either fight or run. And we know that expression. So, fear may possibly be in our systems without we realizing it. So we've got lies, and now we have fear. There's something called fear broker, a person who builds on fear, causes us to be fearful over and over and over again. So we may be building fear into our systems. Don't know if it's true, but let's look at the possibility. So we have lies and we have fear. What else? We have a system, an economic system, that is based on profitability. And people who understand the system and believe in the system do extremely well. And over the years, people who have done very, very well have no concept of how people live who do not have a great deal of wealth. No empathy whatsoever. We have won, we have our lives, and you guys are losers. You haven't done it. Something that would be impossible to accomplish the way it's set up. So now we have a great divide. So possibility of fear, possibility of lies, possibility of lack of opportunity. So what's been going on that we see in Washington, D.C. with this people breaking into Congress's building as if it was theirs only. Well, we're going to find out more. But we have a democracy that's teetering on either continuing or being destroyed. What is important to us? What is important to the world? Because we are an important part of the world. So, now, in order to complicate it a little bit more, you and I, we are part of the web of life. We are important in the world just as much as the ants and the bees and the bison and the elephants and every other living thing. Plants, animals, we are part of that. Not different from that. Not different. A part. We think we're dominating. We're actually destroying. We're destroying the very things that cause us or enable us to live, to function, to work with one another. And this whole business of white supremacy, let's be honest about it. It's a monoculture. There's no diversity in that. Nature does not like a monoculture. Nature depends on diversity. If we look at the state of the world, it not be exactly scientifically or religiously true or whatever it is there a possibility that white supremacy has brought the world, including our nation, to the situation now where we have people walking around with ammunition, with weapons loaded, supposedly proud of their existence? What's going on? Now, we'll stop at this for 3 months here in a few minutes. It's not just what is going on. It's what are we going to do about it? There's something that we need to remember. When we see something wrong that's going on, something dangerous, and we don't say anything, we remain silent. We don't write about it. We don't speak about it. We remain silent. And silence is consent. Is it true that we have been silent? That is, silence is consent? And the bad things go on. No ethics? No standards? What are we thinking about? Time for change, right? So many issues, almost impossible to keep them all in mind. But there's one that we might consider. It's a difficult one, but if we are honest and we work together without politics. Politics is a game. We're not playing a game. We could change our culture. We could respect one another. We could raise our children with truth, with love, with food, with clothing, someplace to live. It brings to mind, and there's an awful lot of stuff here to talk about today. If we need a guideline, what would the world be like if children truly mattered? What would the world be like if children truly mattered? Would we have warfare? Would they die of starvation? Would they not have an education? What would the world be like? We have to have some standards someplace so we can change our culture. We can talk about the right things for the good of Earth and for the good of humanity. Take some time, maybe. Have to get together and talk. We have to respect one another. And the word love means all sorts of things. Caring, sympathy, respect, assistance. It's enough to think about for one evening. Big jumble of stuff, but let's work together and think it through. We'll talk again the next time.